My name is Joseph Large. Everybody knows me as Henry. That's a childhood nickname from one of my aunties. I was born in St. Paul in 1956, December 26th. And according to my mom, I was 1 week early. I was supposed to have been born on January 1st of 1957, but something happened. I don't know what. They had to rush her to. It was on a snow cold day, according to mom. And it was my Muslim Simon Memnuk that drove my mom to the hospital. I was right where we're doing this. That's where I grew up till I was 10 years old. Little log cabin here. I was only 15 by 16 feet, something like that. And I lived most of my life in Acahkoskwew, the reserve. I went to school at Blue Coast for 1 year, and I consider myself lucky that I only stayed there 1 year, even though in another sense I wasn't lucky. But that's the way it is. Because a lot of other kids I grew up with spend most of their childhood in that school. And the rest of my schooling was in a day school from grade 1 to 7, except for grade 4, like I said, Blue Coast. How did, like, Blue Coast, I know something happened there. I remember some things. I do not remember everything. I blocked out a lot of stuff. I know that. And that's just my way of coping with it, I guess. I don't know. Today I'm doing okay. The only time memories come up is when I'm talking about it with somebody. And sometimes it's very difficult and emotionally and mentally straining because I've never really, like I mentioned earlier, I blocked out a lot of stuff, and I don't know what I blocked out, and I don't want to know what I blocked out. Other than that, I'm okay today. The only thing that I remember from there was that was bad was no, actually there's three things. One was taking a shower. Imagine yourself as a 8-year-old, 9-year-old boy, and you're standing naked, and you have a nun and a female supervisor watching you take a shower. The other one was one of the female supervisors had long fingernails, and I still have scars in my arms from her grabbing onto me with her sharp fingernails. The other one is all of us were thrown outside. Didn't matter how cold it was, and a lot of us used to get frostbite. And those are very. Another one was the fourth one that I remember distinctly is cleaning 3 stories of stairs, interior stairs, with a toothbrush and dishes water with soap and a rag, just a rag and a toothbrush, and we had to make sure that it was really clean. And older boys would do it on purpose; they would dirty it up again, and we had to start over. And some of them older boys were my own relatives, my own uncles or cousins. The, the other thing, number 5 was running away. Me and my other cousin running away, and we managed to get 1 mile before they caught us. They dragged us back, and we had a whipping, and we went to bed with no supper that time. And those are the experiences I remember. The 5 the most. There must be others. I just don't know. Or I don't want to remember. Personally, I did not lose my Cree because, like I said, Uh, I've said a lot of times to a lot of people, I didn't know any English till I was 5 or 6 years old, and I went to school. And I used to come home from day school, so I was always hearing our language spoken. And through the years, and that's what happened. Even though I spent 1 year in Blue Cross, a lot of us there spoke Cree on a sly where the nuns couldn't hear us or the supervisors couldn't hear us. So we maintained it that way amongst ourselves. Coming home from Blue Coast, like I came home to Cree speakers also because my parents were, and my uncles and my Nogams and my Muslims. So today I'm still very fluent in Cree. Even now, like I'm talking in English, I'm really thinking in Cree and translating what I'm thinking in Cree to English. So I haven't lost that ability. My children, uh, I never made it an issue for them to learn Cree. Like, uh, I think it was we had to get white man's education. In order to get that, you had to be very fluent in English. And same thing with Newsima. And I think that was a mistake that every generation made, that we tried to be like white men. And I think that's a mistake that needs to be corrected because we're not white men. I see it every day. We dress like them. In order to be accepted, we have to have a suit, a proper footwear, proper clothing. And I feel saddened when I see that because uh, we're not, even though our skin color and our hair color says we're native, we're like pretend white men or something like that. That's what I think anyway. Yeah. Uh, I, my parenting skills are learned from my parents and from the schools. The strictness, um, the love was there. I knew that, and I sort of understood it, that the caring was there. And my dad and well, mainly my dad would tell me how his parents and his grandparents cared and loved him, and what they did for him. But personally, I didn't see that. I mean, and I couldn't do the same to my children. Uh, the strictness of raising a child that was brought in from the outside world. That's what I showed my kids. So it was a challenge trying to be a parent and not knowing how to be one. And then later on in life, my life, I switched that around. And even though by this time my children are either adults or close to being adults, I wanted to break that cycle of where I grew up, the violence and disrespect and the alcoholism, drug use. And, uh, and I did what I could to refocus that and say enough is enough. Uh, I know some of my children are doing their best, even though they didn't barely see good parenting either. They're doing what they can. They're doing a better job than I am, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Uh, your children are supposed to do better than you. I when my kids come to me with their problems or my grandkids, I just tell them what they can do, or I don't tell them what they should do. I just tell them the stories that I've known and the episodes that I had or the experience I had, the negative and the good, and I let them choose. It's like that's what my dad did to me. He'd tell me, and you'd be like, "It's your choice now. Even growing up, you're gonna have to choose this. I told you all the things you need to know. You choose for yourself how you want to walk your road." And for that, I was grateful for my dad that he gave us that choice. He never condemned us for choices we made in our lives, whether they were good or bad. he never praised us either. So, we didn't even know if we were doing good or not because we weren't encouraged with positive talk. And I do that for my kids. I give them the positive words and give them, if they're doing good, I'll let them know. And if they did made a bad choice, I'll calmly tell them I'm not happy with what the choice they made and the hurt they created for themselves. I don't condemn it for it and tell them you're a bad kid or you're a bad parent. No, it's you can't do that. Even though you want to, because of your upbringing, uh, you're not supposed to do that. It doesn't matter if it's the truth. If you want to say the truth, then say it in a way that it doesn't hurt the other person overwhelmingly, cuttingly, like a bullwhip cutting a person up. Because sometimes truth is used like that. I know that happens lots here, where truth is used like a bullwhip instead of with love and caring. And that's what I've tried to show my kids. I want to tell you the truth. I want to do it in such a way that I want to do my best that you understand, and I'm not trying to hurt you. I think that's what, as where I am today, that's what I can do. And if they're doing good, praise them, and no matter what, tell them I love them. You know, Same with the grandchildren, of course. I know I I don't like my personal experience with Blue Coast residential school system. I can't really say for sure how it affected my relationships with my own parents, with my siblings, with my children, with uh, with my relatives. Uh, I do know that my parents' experience and my uncles and my grandmother's experience with residential school affected me in my relationship with other people, and most of it was like real negative relationship uh, that came out of that. And so personally, I cannot say if that was. All I know is this: that my experience from Blue Coast is I tend to want to be closer to my relatives, and because we had a shared experience on what happened there, especially my people I grew up with. Even though they went into drugs or alcohol and that ruined their lives, I did what I could to be close to them. Uh, but sometimes, though, it doesn't work because you can't stand what they're doing to their lives, to their own lives, and you have to keep going forward. Uh, I lost a lot of kids I grew up with here. I'm basically the only one left from this area, this neighborhood. Of all the boys that grew up, I'm the only one left. You know, all drug and alcohol related deaths. I've asked myself that question a lot of times, and sometimes I get afraid and I'm concerned because the true spirit of Nehiyawak is generally lost on the average among our people. And most of our people don't know what that really means, and they tend to abuse it, what they think it is. And to me, that's scary because it turns away people when that happens. And all I know is two uncles, and a cousin died that used to foster that Nehiyawak spirit. And I learned lots from them just because I tended to be like what Blue Coats and the residential schools and the church showed us. And they would tell me, don't be like that. That's not our way of our people. And it was hard stepping beyond that and showing what Nehiyawak spirit is, what Nehiyawak is, because that's humbleness and no pride and not putting yourself above others. And there's too much of that happening, that a lot of too many people are putting themselves above others, or they're better than others. And I know where that came from, and that's hard to fight that when it comes from the government and the church, and the way that it's been happening for the past 150, 180 years now. And it's going to take a while to fight all of that, because it's affecting my children's generation. It's affecting my grandchildren's generation. I know we are a gentle people, and at the bottom we are. We're not violent people. If we were violent people, we wouldn't be here today. We, generally speaking, our people follow the laws of the Creator, and they believed in them. Or if that wasn't happening, a lot of more bad stuff would be happening than what's happening today. I know that. Other than that, I have hope for our people. Even though we're losing some people that have knowledge, we still can get that knowledge. We can still pass it on. Are we willing to do it as a person? That's what we have to decide for ourselves, what we are willing to do. That means you have to put yourself out there, and that's scary, to put yourself out there in sick situations and come out healthy and whole without no anger. That's very difficult to do. And a lot of times that's what scares me, put myself out there and knowing very well I am going to get hurt, or somebody's going to say something that's going to hurt me, and how am I going to react? Yeah, that's about it. I believe the average Caucasian person out there doesn't believe what's happening. I find it hard to believe that it happened here in Canada. I believe the government hasn't gone far enough, or the church hasn't gone far enough to make a concrete effort to say that, okay, we're sorry we did this. We're going to tell your history now in our schools and our churches. Let everybody know what really happened and what kind of people you really are. Because for the past 200 years, they've been painting us as violent, lazy, drunken people that can't do nothing, that we need help. We never asked for that help. And we didn't ask you to paint us in this situation. And you have to do that now. You've allowed the painting, the discrimination and racism to happen. The churches, the government. You let it happen for over 200 years. You're going to have to reverse that by saying all these things for the next 200 years, that we helped build this country. If it wasn't for Native people, this country wouldn't be where it is today. If it wasn't for Native people being who they are and what they believed in, this country wouldn't be what it is today. And the government and the churches have to retell the story in a better way of Native people. This is what Native people did for our land. And this is what they did to help us to survive this land. The Ukrainians know it. The Bosnians know it, who settled across the river. It wasn't for Native people, they would have died. They even asked, a few years ago, they asked a couple elders from here, and said if it wasn't for Saddle Lake people, we wouldn't have this community today. That's what needs to happen. To come out publicly and say, look, this is what's going to happen from now on. We're going to put out movies or propaganda, I guess it would be a better word, that Native people, this is what they did for our land. They were a big part of building this country 200 years ago, even more than 200 years ago. I mean, we helped build the fur trade. We helped did a lot of things. We helped uh, white men to cross this country and see our land, our country. We helped them to survive. Every tribe of European tribe that came here, we helped them to survive so that they can have a future. I think that's what the government needs to do is set out propaganda. The church needs to set out propaganda vilifying Native people, saying, look, this is what they did for us. This is how they made Canada a country. Because without Native people, Canada wouldn't be here today. I do what I can. I have a sweat lodge. I participate in all our ceremonies. Uh, I teach my children and grandchildren, pass on the teachings, and whoever asks in a proper way, I tell them. And also I tell the Muniao, the white people, I don't care if they don't want to hear it or they didn't ask the question, I'll just let them know. This is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I went through, and this is where my people need to go. And I know I upset some white people. It doesn't matter to me if they get upset, because they have to, at night time you have to ask yourself, why am I getting upset? How come? They have to answer that question for their own self. But I do foster our way of life, our way of thinking. And I don't turn down anyone that wants help or seeks answers. It's not our way to turn down people. A lot of this stuff I'm saying, most of it is from my dad. I remember sitting in the old place when I was 14, 15 years old. He was telling me all this stuff, what his thoughts and what he thought, and what he heard from the old people older than him. So what I'm saying here is about 4 generations of old people, their sayings, their words, their thoughts, and some of my own, what I think. And that's what I tell my children and my grandchildren, because there is truth in that needs to be passed on, that is not lost, and to help us become better human beings as Native people. Because like my dad used to say, the Creator made us all different for a reason. A white man is who he is, we are who we are. And we have to fulfill the roles that the Creator put us on this earth. We can't be anybody else. And I believe that. The only main message I can tell them is don't forget who you are and where you come from. Don't forget your past, because that's what makes us. Don't forget the land, because that's where we live. That's about it, really. Don't forget who you are, where you came from. As soon as we forget who we are and where we came from, we don't know where we're going. We don't know which path to take, and that's when we're lost. That's what I told my children, anyway, my grandchildren, and our nephews whenever they want to listen. I don't know really what to say on conclusion here. Coming from where I am. Whoever is listening, whoever is hearing this, always be truthful and honest to yourself. Don't ever lie to yourself. Follow your heart, follow your dreams. Uh, be steadfast in what you believe in. Don't be like this. Well, I'm going to try. If you believe in something, then follow it in a good way. If you need to take a side trip, then take that side trip for a good purpose, not for a bad purpose, for a good purpose. And don't all and always ask questions. Always seek knowledge. Uh, uh, Once in a while, take a break, but don't be lazy. Recognize what you can do for yourself and for others. Because once you do something for yourself, it's very easy to do something for others. You don't hesitate, you go and do it. That's what I found in my life, that up till now, that whatever I can do for myself, I found it easier to do it for others. Because I took care of myself, and okay, I can take care of others now. When I was young and I barely could take care of myself, I had a difficult time helping others because I was so busy doing what I can to take care of myself and my little family. And I got lost within that little circle, and that's not good to get lost within a little circle. It's not good to get lost in a bigger circle because you forget your little circle. You have to find that balance. And I wish I had known that when I was young, that somebody had told me, keep balance, Don't go too much this side, don't go too much that side. Find a balance where you're happy and content. The one thing that have kept me going is what my dad and elders have told me: don't forget the Creator in your life every day. You'll never go wrong. In my experience, when I forgot the Creator, shit happened to me. And that's for forgetting the Creator. You can't do that. You cannot forget Him. You have to remember Him every day. That's about it.
Hey, 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 oh, hey, oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, yeah, hey, oh. So, kesu, ikaw inaw ka na kataway mi kuya. Ay, 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 oh, hey, oh, hey, hey, oh, hey, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, oh. So, que so, okay, se go.